In the world of celebrity, where fame and fortune often seem to overshadow everything else, there have been instances where the dark side of human nature has come to light. These 10 celebrities found themselves entangled in allegations of homicide, each case shrouded in controversy and raising questions about the complexities of fame, power, and the law. O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson, a former NFL football star, was acquitted in 1995 of the double murder of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. The trial was one of the most highly publicized and controversial in American history, sparking debates about race, class, and the justice system. Simpson was immediately named a suspect after the murders and was arrested following a high-speed chase broadcast live on television. The trial lasted 9 months, with the prosecution presenting evidence linking Simpson to the crime scene, including DNA evidence and a trail of bloody footprints. However, the defense argued that the evidence had been mishandled by the police and that Simpson had been framed. They also presented an alibi, claiming that Simpson was at home at the time of the murders. After deliberating for 11 hours over 3 days, the jury returned a verdict of not guilty on both counts of murder. The verdict was met with a mix of shock, anger, and disbelief. Many people believed that Simpson was guilty, but the jury had found reasonable doubt. The Simpson trial had a profound impact on American culture, and it also led to reforms in the handling of criminal evidence. In 2008, Simpson was found liable for the wrongful deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman in a civil trial. He was ordered to pay $33.5 million in damages to the victims' families. Robert Durst. Robert Durst, a reclusive real estate heir, has been involved in several high-profile cases of disappearance and murder. One of the most prominent cases involving Durst is the disappearance of his wife, Kathleen McCormick, in 1982. Durst has always maintained his innocence in her disappearance, but suspicions have lingered over the years. In 2001, Durst was arrested in connection with the murder of his longtime friend, Susan Berman. Berman had been found shot to death in her Beverly Hills home. Durst fled the scene and was eventually apprehended in Galveston, Texas. While on the run, Durst was arrested for dismembering a man's body in Galveston. He was acquitted of murder charges but was found guilty of tampering with evidence and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Durst's case was the subject of the HBO documentary series The Jinx, which aired in 2015. In the final episode, Durst was caught on a hot microphone making a seemingly incriminating statement about the murders of his wife and Berman. As a result of the documentary, Durst was arrested and charged with the murder of Susan Berman. In 2021, he was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Suge Knight, the co-founder of Death Row Records, has been involved in several violent incidents and has faced serious criminal charges. In 1995, Knight was involved in a fight at a Las Vegas casino that resulted in the death of Tupac Shakur. Although Knight was never charged with Shakur's murder, the incident tarnished his reputation and contributed to the decline of Death Row Records. In 2015, Knight was involved in a hit-and-run accident in Los Angeles that resulted in the death of a man. Knight was charged with murder and attempted murder, and he was eventually found guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Knight has been in prison since his conviction, and he has faced additional charges, including assault and battery. His legal troubles have continued to make headlines, and his case has raised questions about the role of violence in celebrity culture. Phil Spector. Phil Spector, a legendary music producer known for his work with artists such as the Beatles and the Righteous Brothers, was convicted of murder in 2009. In 2003, Spector was arrested in connection with the death of actress Lana Clarkson. Clarkson was found dead in Spector's home, with a gunshot wound to the mouth. Spector claimed that Clarkson had committed suicide, but the prosecution argued that he had murdered her. The trial was highly publicized and lasted for several months. The defense presented a number of witnesses who testified that Spector had a history of erratic behavior and had threatened people with guns in the past. However, the prosecution argued that Spector had a pattern of controlling, and his conviction was seen as a landmark moment in the fight against domestic violence. Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez, a former NFL tight end, was convicted of first-degree murder in 2015 for the killing of Odin Lloyd, a semi-professional football player. Hernandez was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, in 2017, he was found dead in his prison cell, having committed suicide. Hernandez's case raised significant questions about the relationship between sports and violence, as well as the challenges faced by athletes who struggle with mental health issues. His conviction and subsequent suicide served as a stark reminder of the consequences of violent behavior and the importance of addressing mental health concerns within professional sports. Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit, a former WWE wrestler, tragically committed suicide in 2007 after murdering his wife and child. The deaths were a shock to the wrestling world and to the public at large. Investigations revealed that Benoit had suffered from severe concussions and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a brain condition linked to repeated head injuries. Benoit's case raised serious concerns about the long-term health effects of professional wrestling and the need for better safety measures to protect athletes from concussions. It also highlighted the importance of mental health care and the need to address the stigma associated with seeking help. Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious, the bassist of the punk rock band Sex Pistols, was accused of murdering his girlfriend Nancy Spungen in 1978. Spungen was found dead in a bathtub in their New York City hotel room. Vicious was arrested and charged with murder, but he pleaded not guilty and claimed that Spungen had accidentally fallen on a broken glass. Vicious' trial was highly publicized and attracted a great deal of attention from the media and the public. He was eventually acquitted of murder charges, but he was convicted of manslaughter in connection with Spungen's death. Vicious died of a heroin overdose shortly after his acquittal. His case has been the subject of much debate and speculation, and there is still no consensus on what really happened the night Spungen died. Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick, a well-known actor, was involved in a car accident in 1987 that resulted in the deaths of 2 people. While driving in Ireland, Broderick's car collided with another vehicle, killing the driver and her passenger. Broderick was seriously injured but survived the accident. Broderick was charged with careless driving, and he was found guilty and fined. The accident had a profound impact on Broderick's life, and he has spoken openly about the guilt and grief he experienced following the tragedy. The case raised questions about the importance of safe driving and the consequences of driving recklessly. It also highlighted the need for stricter traffic laws and better driver education programs. Brandy, a popular singer and actress, was involved in a car accident in 2000 that resulted in the death of a woman. Brandy was driving her Mercedes-Benz SUV when it collided with a Toyota Camry. The driver of the Camry, a 38-year-old woman, was killed in the accident. Brandy was charged with vehicular manslaughter, but she was eventually acquitted of the charges. However, the accident had a devastating impact on the victim's family, and Brandy has expressed her deep regret for the tragedy.
You're so devastated that you didn't leave the house for 3 months.
I did. It was a very, very hard time for me, but music pretty much saved the day, and just family and friends.
Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, a well-known actor, was involved in a fatal shooting on the set of his film Rust in 2021. While rehearsing a scene, Baldwin was holding a prop gun that was loaded with live ammunition. The gun fired, killing the cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, and injuring the director, Joel Souza. Baldwin was charged with involuntary manslaughter and weapons charges. The case has been highly publicized and has raised questions about safety protocols on film sets and the use of firearms in movies. Baldwin has maintained his innocence, claiming that he did not pull the trigger and that he believed the gun was unloaded. The case is still pending trial, and it remains to be seen how it will be resolved. These are just a few examples of celebrities who have faced allegations of homicide. It's important to remember that allegations do not equate to guilt, and many of these cases have complex legal histories. For more stories like this and other interesting content, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends.